Sophia Media. Welcome to my first year with my dog. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Samira. For this episode, we spoke with Beth McGuire. Beth grew up in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, where she works as a vet tech and a dog physical therapist. She also runs a dog play group and teaches an obedience class at the local community center.
I also live in South Kingstown, so I'm in the same town as Beth. And my dog, Otis, has actually been a part of her dog play group, and he really loves it.
Welcome to my first year with my dog. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to have the chance to be here.
Hi, Beth. So good to see you.
You too. You too.
Well, first off, it seems like everything that you do is built around dogs. Could you tell us a little bit about the formative experience as a child that helped you on this path?
Sure. When I was 4, I had a babysitter in August. The month of August, my regular babysitter would take off. And so her mother actually took a few of us kids on. So there were like 4 or 5 of us in her home. And there was a dog that was tied up outside 24/7. She had a doghouse and a 6-foot chain, and that was her life. The dog wasn't the woman that babysat us. It was her grandson's, but he kind of won the dog in a card game and just brought it to grandma's house and left it. And her name was Gretchen. And so I always felt bad that she lived on a chain. I didn't have a dog myself, but I loved dogs. And I asked my mom if we could get Gretchen some treats when we were at the supermarket. So we actually got people crackers. So it's the dog version of animal crackers where it was in the shape of the vet, the dog officer, and the mailman, all stamped out. And so I was allowed to take them out there by myself unsupervised. So I laid the treats down on the ground, and I can remember laying my head down on the ground to watch the muscles in her jaw as she chewed. And she chewed and things were good. And then all of a sudden, she realized my face was right there, and she turned and grabbed my face and shook. And so I don't remember too much after that. I don't remember like the specific pain of it all, but I do remember the paper towel being put on my face and the red climbing up it. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was a pretty bad bite. So this lady called my mom. My mom took me to the emergency room, and then they basically stitched my face back on because it was a really bad bite. Because it was not just a bite, but a bite and a shake. So a lot of damage done.
Wow.
And so as we were leaving the hospital, my mom said to me, there's way too many dogs in this world for you to be afraid of them. We're going to stop at Joan's house and we are going to feed Thunder, who was a 17-year-old golden retriever that was an Ottoman that ate. I mean, he was the sweetest dog. And so every night for about 2 weeks, we would go to different friends' houses of hers that had really amazing dogs. And I would either feed them, walk them, play with them. And so that definitely helped with the fear. She said, I don't ever want you to be the type of person that you see a loose dog and you panic.
Yeah.
And so after all of that, a few weeks later, I heard that the dog that had bitten me had to be euthanized. And it broke my heart. And I said to my mom, I'm going to fix mean dogs, Mommy. That's what I want to do. And I just never veered from that. And so I feel terrible for my friends that had, 7 or 8 majors and never got their bachelor's because they just couldn't decide what to do with their lives. I just knew instantly that that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really grateful that my mom had that insight,
Yeah.
And I think, too, that it helped me so much that I don't know that I would be living this life had the bite not happened, which is pretty wild to think about.
Yeah. And that's such a positive way of looking at otherwise a terrifying experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why do you think it was so clear for you?
I think it was so clear for me because being around the dogs afterwards, and even prior to the incident, having empathy for this dog that was stuck on a chain. I knew that wasn't normal. When I had gone to my mom's friends' houses, the dogs were on the couch. One had its own bedroom. Absolute opposite. And I would think about the dog, like when it would rain, I would say to my mom, I wonder if she's outside. And she was. I'm sure she was.
Mm.
And it was just a really sad life for her. So I had that empathy for her in the first place, even after all this stuff happened. And then just being reminded about how incredible dogs are, because the dogs that I worked with at 4 were all just so wonderful and so comforting. And it really made me realize the magic of dogs.
Mm. I never realized that's how you got started with your lifelong relationship with dogs. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your mom, because she sounds like a remarkable woman.
Yeah, she definitely was. She grew up in Oklahoma and Texas in the Deep South during the 50s and 60s. And so even though she had family members that were literally in the Ku Klux Klan, she knew just from the get-go instinctively that wasn't right. And she was telling me when she was a kid, she would purposefully, go sit at the counter that was labeled only for Negroes, that kind of thing. And when she was old enough, she went on a freedom ride into Alabama, not Selma, but she took a freedom ride. And, she just always was like, watch out for the underdog, because that could be you very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the way she thought about, how to really help you deal with the experience, the trauma that you had,
100%.
was to kind of face whatever fear that you might have had and stare it down, basically, and overcome it. That's why I was just like, wow, she just sounds like such a wise person.
She really was. And that's the thing is, it's so crazy to say that the best thing that ever happened to me was getting mauled in the face by a dog as a kid. But, throughout my life, I've met other people that had facial scars or scars on their bodies. And when you ask them, hey, what happened? And then they tell you, I was bit by a dog and now I hate Rottweilers, or I don't like dogs, or I can't stand animals, And I think to myself, well, if you had my mom, you'd probably be a vet.
Yeah, it seems like what she did was very important for you.
Definitely.
And I think most moms would be really terrified in that moment and try to keep you away as much as possible. But she did the exact opposite. How important was that for you?
Yeah. I can remember being scared when we went to that first house, even though I had known Thunder since forever, since I could walk, and knowing that he was a really sweet dog. But having seen the potential for aggression with dogs, there definitely was that fear there. And she just kind of was very calm about it and coaxed me through it. And she was the kind of person too, where like, say if we had a cat, if he scratched me, she'd say, well, what did you do to the cat? And so she always had that soft spot for animals.
Right.
So,
yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she no longer with us?
Yeah. She passed away in 2021.
Okay.
Yep. It was unexpected. She passed in her sleep. And when I found her, she had her cat laying on her. So, if you're going to go, that's a pretty peaceful way to go,
Right.
So, but yeah, I definitely miss her. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. So,
yeah.
Do you still have any scars physically or like emotionally from that bite as a child?
Yeah, the other thing was that after the attack, she was a psycho about putting vitamin E oil on my face twice a day, every day. And I'd be like, not now, I'm playing. And she would put it on there. So I really don't have a lot of scars. I have one here, I think. And then there's one on my eyebrow and then one up under my hair. But, for me, I've worked with people now since everything happened who are terrified of dogs, who either were raised by people that taught them to be scared of dogs with nothing happening, or who had a bad incident or saw a bad incident. And so one family that I worked with, it was the grandmother and her grandchildren and kids were coming to stay for the summer. And she had 2 standard poodles who were total goofballs. But the kids were terrified. Like the parents weren't sure that they could come for vacation because the kids were so scared. And so what I ended up doing was working with the kids and teaching them what dog body language meant. And what ended up happening was after just 3 sessions with them, about a half hour long, they were no longer scared of Rory. Because I can really empathize with that. It's extreme, you know. Dogs communicate with their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly remember that when I'm at work. Even when you think they're anesthetized, sometimes they're not quite. And you really have to be mindful of that.
So did you grow up with dogs?
I wanted a dog so bad, to the point that I used to go through my mom's Women's Day magazines, cut out the pictures of dogs, and tape them on the milk, inside her windshield, on the closet, on the bathroom mirror.
Very
I
subtle.
just was like, I need a dog. I want a dog. And we had a brother and sister cat who were wonderful, but they're not dogs. And so when I was 14, her friend had a rare type of leukemia, and she knew that it was fatal. And she sold everything and bought an RV. And she had a dog named Bernie, who she planned to take with her across the country, but Bernie hated it. And so finally, my mom said, oh, we're going to get a dog. You know, we're going to take Joan's dog. And I was thinking, this is amazing. Yay. And I said, what kind is it? And she said, oh, it looks like a giant Jack Russell Terrier. And I said, oh. And then Bernie came to our house, and I realized Bernie was a pit bull.
Mm.
And I locked myself in my bedroom and I said, they eat babies. You know, I was so scared of him. I think mainly because of the media. I hadn't had any direct contact with any pit bulls that I knew of, but just watching the news and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernie was pretty amazing. He sat vigil by my door. And finally, I let him in, and he was just incredible. So he was our family dog, but with him, I made a bunch of mistakes. Like if I knew then what I know now, I cringe sometimes when I think about like doing dominance roles in Monks of New Skeet, where they're really just basically pushing dogs' buttons to see how far you can get, what the dog will tolerate, which is completely the wrong thing now.
And where did you get the idea to do these things?
From PBS, actually. There was a show with Uncle Matty Margolis. He was this dog trainer, and he talked about using prong collars and only letting, the dog go behind you and reminding them that you are the alpha and they're not taking over.
Yeah, I still hear about that stuff.
It's really that, the key word being like obey. Almost like if you have a dog, the reason for it is because you want to be an overlord of something, And so I started off with him. And then when I was a freshman in college, I got a job at a vet, and I was at URI, and I was volunteering at the pound, and a litter of puppies came in. There were 6 of them. And there was one with a patch over her eye. She was adorable. And she would always come seek me out, and I would look for her. And the woman that was running the shelter, it was in the fall. And so she would pick the puppy up and stick it in my hoodie, pocket and say, oh, she needs to go home with you. I think she needs to go home. So I campaigned to my mom. I was like, Bernie's getting older, and I want to feel safe when I go running. I mean, I laid it on thick. I'm a woman in a very scary world, and I need this dog. And so finally she caved in. So I was going to take the puppy home, and it was Halloween. That's when she was allowed to leave the shelter. And originally I was going to name her Rosie, but she was in the back seat in her little crate making all these crazy noises. And I said, oh my gosh, you sound like a gremlin back there. And I thought, I could call you Gremlin, but spell it with a Y instead of an I to make it feminine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how Gremlin came to be. And so with her, I wanted her to be an advocate, your ambassador for the breed. And so I enrolled in the local community center's beginner's obedience. And the really cool part was they had just switched from their old method of choke chains and dominance rolls and all that jazz to something called clicker training, which was an entirely positive reinforcement thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Gremlin and I were in kind of the freshman class for them. And we were able to accomplish in 5 weeks what they couldn't in 8 weeks because they took the element of fear out of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned more from wanting your dog to obey you to forming a relationship with them, being a benevolent leader. So that way they wanted to offer the good behaviors. And that got me started. I was such a nerd about it that at the end of the 6 weeks, they said, hey, we can't pay you, but do you want to be our understudy? And I said, do I? And I kind of took off from there. And the really neat thing is right before COVID, they actually sold me the business for $1. So I am now the owner.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's been fun. You know, I love learning about dogs. It's just, and Gremlin really is the one to thank for that.
Mm. Do you remember, you said you were driving home with her and she was in the backseat. Do you remember any more about that day when you first brought her home?
Yeah. You know, with Bernie, we had always just let him be loose in the car. But with Gremlin, being as little as she was 10 weeks at that point, I just wanted everything to be so safe. I was like the new mom, you know, I'm going to have her ride in a crate and she's never going to be allowed on the furniture because if she jumps down, she could injure herself and all this stuff. And eventually that went out the window. But yeah, you know, that night bringing her in and praying that Bernie didn't want to eat her. And he instantly was like her dad. It was the cutest. He sniffed her and was like, okay, you live here now, you know.
Wow.
Which was really surprising because, you know, he could be a grumpy kind of guy and didn't love all other dogs. But if it's like with the puppy, he just gave her a hall pass. She was able to do whatever she wanted, teeth on his ears, get under his feet, eat his food. And he'd just be like, it's Gremlin. It's fine, you know.
I know you were in the pound and you saw a bunch of puppies, but like, was it something in your life where you were looking for a dog at that point?
Yeah, I don't think I ever lost that little girl that cut out the dog pictures in magazines. I felt the connection with them. And with Grem, I felt like it was my opportunity to be responsible. I always knew since I was a little kid that I didn't want to have human children. I just knew that. I love kids. They're great, but it's just not for me. And so getting Gremlin was like the next closest thing. And I really just enjoyed watching her learn and grow and explore. But there definitely were times I was studying for a physics exam and she was on the bed with me and she walked right over to the textbook and squatted and peed on it because I had missed her cues she gave me, you know, and I just started crying. And another time she ate a bag of York peppermint patties. And so she had like green and red foil poop for a week, you know, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to die, you know. So there were a lot of learning moments with her.
Yeah.
She was mischievous and teething and all of that, but she was a great, great dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how you said that you just never really had any desire for having human children. So I'm curious because when you got Gremlin, you were still just in college, right? So like not even maybe 20?
Yeah,
early
I think
20s?
I was like 19. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how did that change you? Like, did you feel more maternal?
I definitely did. And I recognized some of the sacrifices I had to make. You know, I couldn't just go to the party with my friends. It was, you know, who's going to let the dog out? Did she eat yet? Did she do this? Did she do that? Oh, I have to pay for her vaccines. I have to pay for her flea and tick or her spay or whatever. So it definitely did take some sacrifice. But the great part was that everything that I did for her, it was so worth it because I just got back from her tenfold. She and I were training for a marathon together. And so we were going to do the Mystic Marathon. And so Saturdays were our long run days. So I do anywhere from 12 to 15 miles running with her. And she kept right up. She loved it. She knew like pee poop at the beginning because we're going, and she wasn't one of those dogs that wanted to sniff everything. She was ready. And I would get back to the house. And I mean, at certain points, I felt like I just wanted to collapse. And she'd come running back in the room with her leash in her mouth. And I was like, Grem, some dogs get walked around the block, like I can't take you again. So, yeah, she was a lot of fun and just always ready for an adventure.
Yeah, like a bundle of energy.
Totally. Yes.
This is kind of backing up a bit, but was there anything that stuck out to you about Gremlin that attracted you when you were first looking at the puppies? Like, this is my dog.
Yeah. So she was the one that was the most curious. If I was cleaning up the corner of, their outside run, she would be coming over like, what are you doing? What's going on? And she wasn't afraid of anything. Some of the other puppies definitely were more fearful. And I don't think it's that anything happened to them. I think it's just legitimately what their personalities were. And I liked that she hadn't come from some horrific situation. I have owned dogs that have been former fighting dogs, and they're amazing, but it's not a beginner dog by any means. I had to go through a lot of education and schooling to understand and keep myself safe, keep them safe. And it was well worth it, wonderful dogs. But with Grem, it was kind of like she was just this little ball of clay, and I couldn't wait to see what she turned into.
Bernie came before.
Yes.
So like, what did having Bernie prepare you for? And what were you maybe not so prepared for when it came to puppy life?
Yeah, potty training. Holy mackerel. Bernie came potty trained. I think he was about 5 when he came. But Bernie had trauma before my mom's friend adopted him. And so when you would take out a broom, or like I had a wiffle ball bat that had a friend over and pulled it out, we were going to play wiffle ball, and he lost his mind. Just grabbed the bat, started, shredding it up. And so, my mom was like, he's kind of like a Vietnam vet. He's got PTSD with certain things. We just have to map out what his triggers are and make sure he doesn't have to deal with them.
Right.
So it was like, okay, put Bernie outside. I have to sweep the kitchen, that kind of thing. And it was nice that with Gremlin, I didn't have anything like that. She was a clean slate. But Bernie, again, he was house trained. He was really smart too. He could figure out all sorts of problems and things. And so it was really fun watching the two of them together. Because like Bernie used to know that if he ran away, because he used to run and like to bite truck tires for whatever reason, which is terrifying because I'm like, he's going to get squashed.
Right.
But he would run away, and then he would know to come back. And we had a little dish rag on the handle of the cabinet under the sink, and he would whip it open and get himself a treat as a reward for coming back,
Wow.
Because my mom's friend said, well, I don't understand when people yell at dogs when they finally come back. Why would they want to come back,
Right.
And so I don't know who was the smarter in that case, the human or the dog. And so Gremlin started doing it. She really mimicked him a lot with different
interesting
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, the first year with a dog, it's like their most transformative period, right? Like both physically and psychologically too, I think.
Yeah.
So what were your most favorite memories during that first year? And what were some of the surprises watching her grow up?
I think it's funny now, but I do think about when she peed on my textbook or ate the peppermint patties. And at the time, it was like one more thing. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I would cry about it. And then she'd just come bounding in the room like, what's going on? Come on, let's go. Let's play, which I loved. And there were times where I was exhausted, but I loved her so much that I would find the time to go outside and throw the ball or take her for a nice long sniffy walk, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I think it helped me understand. I had so many people in my life that were, oh, you're going to change your mind. You're going to want kids. Oh, biological clock's ticking. And,
Yeah.
when I was in kindergarten and we would play family, I'd be like, I'm the dad. I'm going to work. And I'd go sit on the swings. Like, it just wasn't for me. And with Graham, just being willing to make those sacrifices, be exhausted, still take her, or
Mhm.
miss out on, a fun weekend trip with my friends, but it felt worth it. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, maybe this is what they mean when they say you love your children so much that you'll do anything for them.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So, is there any specific way where you would bond with Graham? Like, how did you show each other affection?
one of the things I had learned in the obedience class was they said when you're asking them to do something that's difficult for them, that dogs view food like money. And so it was the first time that I had been told it's okay to give a dog like a little teeny tiny chunk of bacon or a hot dog or cheese. Because with Bernie, we were so strict. He had a pretty sensitive belly. And so even the wrong milk bone, he would, be a GI mess and have to stay outside for a while. And so with her, using those treats, it just made her motivation 10 times stronger. I would give Gremlin special treats, and she was the first dog I ever made a birthday cake for. I studied how to do, oat flour and all this special stuff that was dog friendly.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. But hiking, going out, just the two of us, camping, just the two of us, I just loved doing that. And I had a boyfriend at the time, but it just wasn't the same. I'd be like, it's a girls' weekend. We're going to go camping. We'll see you later,
Yeah.
And it was great. She
Yeah.
was really, really smart little dog.
Were you still living at home with your mom?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the funny thing was that my mom had said, if you get this puppy, she is your responsibility. And she stuck to that. I mean,
Yeah.
there were a couple of times where I got stuck in class or, something happened where, of course, she would let her out to pee. But she wasn't our dog. She was my dog. And I think having that distinction, too, really meant a lot to me. So.
You described Gremlin as a sort of muse, or you were really determined with Gremlin to become the best dog owner. What do you think you learned along the way? Because it probably didn't come as easy as
as I had hoped.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's not my first Sony situation where it's easy peasy. When I met Bernie, obviously, in the beginning, I was terrified of him because I had listened to the media. I hadn't actually met a pit bull. And I thought, oh my gosh, they eat babies. Well, Bernie obviously didn't eat babies. He was a good boy. And so at first I thought, well, it's all in how they're raised, And then with Gremlin, I did everything right, on the checklist. And I think it helped too that I was going into classes, in school where it was really, really in depth about behavior and brain function and all of this stuff, genetics. And so I think that helped me add like that deeper layer. It was like, she's not just a puppy. She's like my PhD puppy. I'm going to learn everything. And there were a few things that she did that just didn't make sense to me. And I'm really grateful for that because it helped me kind of take a middle of the road stance. There are some people out there that say pit bulls are amazing dogs and the only reason that they're mean is because they've been exposed to trauma. But that's not always the case. There is the genetic component of it where some of them have been bred intentionally for aggression towards other dogs or towards anything, guard dogs. And then there's environment. And it's funny that years after I was at a behavior conference, and they were saying, it's the triangle, it's the dog, it's the environment, it's the genetics. And thinking about that, just really, it's like, I realized that a long time ago, but I didn't have those eloquent words for it,
What were some of the things that she did that didn't make sense to you?
Like, she would want to just all of a sudden get really, really violent with her toys. Bernie was a pretty calm guy when it came to his toys. Like, he had a stuffed bear that he had from the time we got him until the day he passed. And he would be very gentle with it and carry it around and put it in his bed at night when he needed to sleep. And Gremlin was just like, let me shred this up and shake it. And just, at the same time, I read in like a Reader's Digest that the reason dogs like squeaky toys is because it simulates an animal screaming as they kill it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, here's Gremlin over here ripping this little pig apart. And I'm thinking, what is she going to? She never caught rabbits or anything like that. She never did anything aggressive towards another animal, but it really did show me the genetic component there.
Yeah, the killer instinct could kick in. Yeah.
The prey drive. Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So. But that never ended up in any situation where she was aggressive towards you. It's just
never
towards the toy. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I think that because our bond was so strong, it was kind of incredible to have a dog where I knew I could do literally anything and she would let me. She may not like it. She may show her teeth, but she would never actually bite me, ever. She didn't like getting her nails trimmed. She didn't like getting a bath, that kind of thing. She didn't like being picked up. But if I did it, all I had to do was just be like, hey. And I knew that she trusted me. I was her safe spot, no matter what.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Since you were learning about dogs while you were learning about Gremlin and her behaviors or her personality, did that make you more anxious or like more confident because you had all this knowledge?
Anxious. Yeah. Because one of the first things I learned is that when dogs are nervous, they lick their lips to calm themselves. That's like us taking a deep yoga breath when we're stressed out. And I almost got fixated on it where I was like, she's licking her lips. Oh no, look, she's stressed out, this poor dog. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. No, she found her Kong full of peanut butter. And she's just, she's just finishing
savoring
up.
it.
Yeah, exactly, And so I definitely did have, guilt and things. And I thought, it's not fair that she has to spend so much time of the day without me when dogs are bred for thousands of years to worship the ground we walk on. But she never had any separation anxiety. She would just take a nap or she'd hang out with Bernie. Like, she really was not a stressed out kind of dog. And so eventually I realized, okay, you're overthinking this,
Yeah.
It's okay if she's home without you. She probably likes the time to be away from you.
Yeah. Was that like a long journey to get there? Being okay with that, or?
I wouldn't say super long. I mean, definitely within the first year I settled down for sure. And I think with my mom, she just sort of had a way with animals and she'd be like, just relax. She's fine, Or if she had an accident in the house and I would just browbeat myself, like, I can't believe I left her alone for 4 hours, And it's really, no, she ate something she shouldn't have and she had diarrhea. It doesn't matter if you were there right away,
Yeah.
This stuff, as they say, it happens. It really helped me lighten up a little bit and not be sitting there looking at her like a clinician, like I started off as. Poor Gremlin.
Yeah. What are the ways that having her changed you, or how informative was that for you?
Yeah. I think with Gremlin, number one, it taught me the magic of positive reinforcement because she would do all sorts of stuff that Bernie never would. Because with Bernie, there were times where if he didn't listen to what I asked him to do, according to PBS, and I thought, well, it's PBS, so it has to be right, I would do things that hurt him. And he would wear the prong collar, and it makes me really sad to think that we were walking around the neighborhood and I'm in a rush. And so I'm not letting him sniff when dogs see the world through their nose.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Gremlin, it taught me to be kinder to animals. I think also too, watching her process things like novel experiences or new people really made me see, wow, this is definitely a sentient being. Not that I didn't think dogs were, but I really started to see how emotional it was.
Mm-hmm. Did you discover something about your own personality through your experience, your years with Gremlin?
Yeah, I did actually. I never thought that I would be standing up in front of classes or giving, lectures about animal behavior, anything like that. But I think having that hands-on experience with Gremlin, watching her navigate the world, react to the training that I did, provide her with an enriching environment, all of that stuff, paying attention to those little details,
Yeah.
making sure she never had a life like Gretchen did.
Mm-hmm.
Where the most important part of your day was the 3 minutes that you were giving your food. And I didn't want that for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of my motivation was just that I had access. I got to call the shots with it and decide what she was exposed to, what she wasn't. So I learned a lot from her. And it was really exciting because with her, I was able to see how deep a bond can be with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Unconditional love at a really tricky time in life where I'm transferring from a high schooler to a college kid, from a kid to a woman, sort of, and having that responsibility just really, really helped me become more confident,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, if I had had a different dog, I'm not sure that I would have turned out the same. So.
Can you talk a little bit more about that time in life for you? What is it that maybe you were searching for emotionally, since it sounds like it was a transitional time for you?
Yeah. So my mom was busy with a lot of different clubs and activities and protests, all sorts of stuff. She was super busy. So I didn't see her a ton. And I think she just thought, well, you're 19. You probably don't want to hang out with your mom. When I did. And it was hard for me to articulate that. And so with Gremlin, all of a sudden, no matter what, I had family around.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie had his issues. And so there were times he just wanted to be left alone. Like if he had enough of you, he would crawl under the bed and be like, this is my safe space. Get out of here. I'm done. And with Grem, she was just so loving, so happy, so curious. It was really fun. And I think also too, having to live at home and commute to campus, I felt like I missed out on the campus life. I had friends and classes and things, but it wasn't the same where they were building these lifelong bonds, and here I am like trying and praying to find a parking spot, and then run to class just in time.
Right.
So I think she really fulfilled that for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's special.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm always thinking about is how to understand my dog Otis better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, oh, I wish I could just speak their language or they could speak our language.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, with like all your vast experience over all these years with dogs and all kinds of dogs,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the ways that helps you to like understand them better or communicate with them better?
I love this question. Whenever you hear on the news, like, oh, the dog attacked the baby from nowhere, where people are fully convinced that the dog was just laying there and all of a sudden was like, I'm just going to bite this kid. In reality, if you had a camera in the corner of the room, dogs give between 30 to 50 cues before they do something. The really cool thing about dogs is they're non-confrontational creatures. They hate it. They don't like to be in fights. They don't like to have arguments about things. And also, too, one of my most favorite definitions of aggression is the act of asking for space from the stressor. Now, that might be by using teeth, and that'll get the stressor away from you for sure. There's so much that we now know thanks to all sorts of different canine body language studies, a lot of the guiding eyes for the blind, therapy dogs, police dogs. We've been able to do really in-depth research and can truly understand what the dogs are trying to tell us. So a couple of things. One that's really simple is my mailman said to me, I don't understand. I went up to the dog down the street and her tail was wagging and I pet her and she bit me. And the interesting thing is we have this misconception that tail wagging means a happy dog, when actually it's just a dog taking in its environment. The key with tail wags is you want to look at the base of the tail where it connects to the body. I think everybody knows if it's tucked, that means that they're scared or uncertain about a situation. If it's straight back and it's swoopy and kind of just yay, or helicopter tail where it's just a circle because they're so happy, we know that's good. But if you have the base of the tail upright, you want to consider that to be a red flag. That means you better back off. So if the base of their tail is upright, their tail is stiff, it's making small movements, not huge swoopy ones, that means you need to stop what you're doing. And the whole licking their lips when they're nervous to calm themselves down, we call that a calming signal. And dogs will do that to each other when they sense that there's a misunderstanding or there's a little bit of something coming up. Like, for example, if there's a dog and he's laying by his bone and this is his beloved possession, and another dog walks near and the dog with the bone growls, guarantee you that if the other dog is well socialized, they'll lick their lips and they also will turn, as they say, turn the other cheek. Dogs actually do that where they'll turn and remove their eye contact to let the other dog know, I'm no threat. I don't want your bone. We're cool. So there's so many things like that you can see. And the beautiful part is, when I first started with dog training with Gremlin or even Bernie, how cool is this? I can get the dog to do what I want it to, right? I can get the dog to obey. Obey is no longer in my vocabulary because what ends up happening is that's pretty one-sided, right? Like you are asking for things, they're doing it, done. That's what you're supposed to do as a dog. Whereas now I understand body language. So if I have my dog on a leash, this is another common thing. It's not a natural behavior for a dog to be stuck on a string to humans, right? And so in their mind, they have that little tiny piece of wolf that says fight or flight, fight or flight. And if you take the flight option out of it because they're trapped on this string to us and they think we're oblivious, we're not paying attention, then they have to act like, the tough guy and really just explode and bark. And people will say, gosh, I have the nicest dog, but she's a demon on leash. And it's because she's not confident that her owner is paying attention and she's stressed out, but she feels she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders and she has to protect both of them from whatever's going on. So when I look at my dog, I'm constantly studying his facial features. The great part is dogs have eyebrows, which is fun to watch because you can literally see when they're worried or when they're super concentrated on stuff. Their ears,
from observing the eyebrows.
Yeah. When they say, oh, he was serious, you can really see that in dogs. With the whole tail thing, that's a little tricky when you have a corgi that doesn't have a tail or a pug that's got a curly Q, that kind of thing. For me, when I take my dog out, it's a conversation. So if we're walking, he's on leash, we see another dog coming towards us, he's not 100% sure. I see his ears flip back on his head. I start to see the whites of his eyes. They call that a whale eye. I can tell he's stressed. I can also see, is his hair standing up or his hackles up? If I see that, I know he's really concerned. And so what I can do is, rather than continue to force him to go head on with another dog, we're going to cross the street. And you can instantly see him relax, like, oh, thank God she was paying attention. All right, we're good, And so my life with my current dog is just full of conversation like that, where I can tell what he likes, what he doesn't like. And it's really not super difficult to become better versed in canine body language.
Yeah.
I love to have people watch some YouTube videos and then go hang out outside the dog park. I personally cannot go to the dog park because I feel like the newscaster for the NFL, where it's like, oh, the golden retriever is coming in hot. Oh, the shepherd is mad, and watch out. Oh, the lab in for a surprise. Like I get so stressed.
You see it
out.
all.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to see into their world because they are so much more complex than originally thought. So, yeah.
Do you think Gremlin helped shape you into the trainer you are today?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it used to be, I thought like a trained dog just sat, laid down, shook hands, and that was it. And with her, I was able to do something called rally obedience, which is basically like agility without the equipment. So you can do it anywhere. You can do it in your yard. They have competitions, all sorts of stuff. And I also learned that dogs see the world through their nose. So while we have about 5 million scent receptors, dogs have 150 to 200 million.
Oh, wow.
To the point that now researchers think that dogs dream in scent rather than sight because it's their strongest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
That's
Isn't
fascinating to think about. It's
Yeah.
like I have to wrap my brain around that.
Right. The great part with that is because I learned that, I'm able to help dogs that may be aggressive, like fear aggressive, where it's just instantly, I'm afraid of something, I'm just going to bite. Instead, to have the owners do nose work with them, where you hide a hot dog somewhere and you bring them back into the room and you say, find it. And they find it and you lose your mind. What a good dog.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're no longer afraid. You're confident. You know you're good at it. And so that's what we can do with scent work for dogs.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Right.
Yeah. And the type of training that I do, it's, in a nutshell, ignore the bad, reward the good. And behavior that's rewarded will repeat itself.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll have folks come into class and go, well, he's jumping and I've kneed him in the chest. I've told him down, no, off, this, that. And the one thing I always say, even if I meet someone for 5 minutes, say, the 3 things dogs want from us when they want to interact are eye contact, talk, and touch. Those are the last 3 things they want if they don't want to interact with us. So if you have a nervous dog that's really kind of scared of new people, if you're going, but I love dogs, and I see it a lot, that's when you're forcing the dog into this uncomfortable situation. For the dogs that are jumping on us, anytime we look at them, anytime we talk, even if we're glaring at them and yelling at them and pushing them down, they just got the trifecta. And dogs are a lot like toddlers where any attention is better than none. And so by not reacting, by closing myself behind a door, access to us is a dog's biggest, most grandest prize. That's the one thing they want in this world. They were made to be that way. So if they jump on us, we don't like it, and we don't say anything. We don't have to yell, but you close yourself behind a door for 5 seconds. You come back out, they jump again behind the door. Usually by the 3rd time, they totally get it. And they're like, oh, all right, I can't see them if I act like that. They make that connection that quickly.
What do you think Gremlin taught you that no textbook could have?
Patience, forgiveness, empathy. Because I can remember with the whole potty training thing that I read this short little booklet and it was like, potty train your dog in 1 day, and I thought, all right, we're going to do this. And it just didn't happen that way. It just didn't, and part of it was my fault. I would miss cues, and part of it was just her being silly and play. Oh, wait, poop, play. And so understanding the whole real life version of things too, because what it ended up helping me do was help give, clients of the vet clinic or the dog training classes or things realistic expectations. Because when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the trenches and you are so sick of, puppy pee pads and why can't she make this connection? Why does she hide in the dining room and poop under the table? It really helps to have somebody that's there with you going, oh, this is totally normal. Here's what you want to do instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
That gentle guidance.
Yeah. So how long did you have Gremlin with you?
I had Gremlin for just over 6 years. And then, like I said, we were training for a marathon. We would do all sorts of fun stuff, climb mountains, whatever. And then one night she was eating and I noticed she was moving her head strange. And then I realized she was having a seizure. So I ended up taking her to the practice I worked at, and they said, no, you need to take her to the emergency vet. This is bigger than we can handle. So I raced her up there, and they immediately put her into like a sedated coma type scenario, because with seizures, it literally heats up your brain and you can have major damage, like brain damage, if you don't monitor and control seizures. So they kind of knocked her out. And then after a whole battery of tests, they asked if I wanted to do an MRI. And here I am, like, working as a vet technician, not making millions of dollars, not exactly driving a Ferrari. And the MRI was like $4,000.
Wow.
And honestly, the doctor that I got was wonderful, because he said, in dogs, if they have seizures before the age of 3, it usually means they're epileptic. If they have seizures after the age of 3, 9 times out of 10, it's a brain tumor. And so I thought, I wouldn't be able to afford neurosurgery for my dog, nor would I really want to, because she was such a happy-go-lucky free spirit, And so I went back to pick her up the next day, and they rolled her out on a gurney, and they said, oh, she's not going to know that you're here. And, I just automatically was, Grem Cracker, what's going on, Cracker Bean? And her tail started wagging. And I was like, all right. So I took her home and we laid on the couch together. And then when I woke up in the morning, she had passed. And I was devastated. I was going through a lot at that moment in my life, and it just was so hard to lose her. And I stopped running. I stopped wanting to do anything. I didn't really want to hang out with friends or do anything but just work, go home and sleep. And so I painted a portrait of her, and I kept looking at it and looking at it. And I thought, I think I want to start running again, but I need her to be with me. And so I ended up taking a picture of the portrait. I never thought I'd be the type of girl to have a tattoo. And I brought it to my friend, and he said, yeah, we could totally do that. And I said, I want it to be negative so that she is part of me. And so 3.5 hours later, after, never having a tattoo before in my life, I survived it and I love it. And that's her right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So I've had that since 2006, and I love it.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little blurry now, but
oh wow, she was just beautiful.
She was very cute. Yep. And she helped me, again, understand the difference between environment, genetics, all of that stuff. And so as a result, I'm able to work with shelters. I'm able to work with dogs that were former fighting dogs and just truly understand them. A lot of times, if there is aggression, it's fear-based.
Yeah.
So you go to pet a dog on the top of its head and it thinks it's going to get hit. They're going to snap at you. Whereas if I just stand there, I don't make eye contact, I don't talk to them, I don't touch them, and they have the opportunity to choose to come to me, gives them autonomy, and then they like me better. So there's all sorts of little things that you can do. And I really do have Gremlin and Gretchen and Bernie to thank for that.
Yeah. I can't get over how beautiful the tattoo is, and it's just so alive.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I'm like, oh my God, your spirits are merged.
Yes,
So,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my friend thought I just wanted a picture of her. And I said, no, I want her to, like, the white part of her will be my skin. And so, yeah, I'm really happy how it came out. It means so much to me. And it's that touchstone that no matter what, the magic of dogs, the magic of kindness, you know, that it really is a better way to live your life.
This is My First Year with My Dog, an original Sophia Media production, created by Sophia. This episode was produced by senior producer Samira Tazari, with creative direction by Shireen Anderson, and co-hosted by Sophia and Samira. Thanks for listening. Check out our website at sophiamedia.co/myfirstyear for more episodes and other shows in the My First Year series, and for social links where you can join our online community.